Hello, Anne.
Hi, Bhante.
Are you in Bhavana Society or in Florida?
No, I'm still in Florida. I probably won't even leave here till middle June.
Oh, okay.
I still have some commitments here, um, at least into June. But
Yeah. I'm going there to on May 2nd for the grand opening of the
oh yeah,
Bhante G's Heritage Center.
that's gonna be quite the event.
Probably so, yeah.
I hope he's doing well.
Well, as they say, no news is good news, you know. Only a few people so far have tuned in, but it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and begin with reciting Namo Tassa and the three refuges. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Good friends, good evening, friends. Welcome to this evening's Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So I hope you were able to read the sutta that I had selected for tonight's review, the Sammaditthi Sutta. And last couple of weeks, we had been talking about the Noble Eightfold Path as being the path leading to the end of suffering. Now, the first step of that path is Sammaditthi, or translated as right understanding. I think I mentioned last week that sometimes other translators have translated Sammaditthi as harmonious view. And I commented that whether you're using the word harmonious view or right view or so on, basically it means to the view of the world, the idea of how to live in the world that brings harmony and brings to the reduction of worry, guilt, fear, worry, of course, and the negative actions of our, extracting our mind from the web of negative karmic impressions, thus gradually reducing the end of suffering. So this sutta, and I'm going to be sharing it in a moment, this sutta, well, I'll go ahead and share it now. Hope I can do that okay. Okay. Now, this sutta is actually given by the Venerable Sariputta, who was the Buddha's right-hand monk in terms of, they called him the captain of the Dhamma, who could explain the Dhamma, second to the Buddha. So he has given many suttas when the Buddha was not in residence in certain places or otherwise disposed. Sariputta would give these lectures, or monks would come to listen to his Dhamma talks. So this is one of them, that they were in Anathapindika's park, Jetavana, in Savatthi. So he's sitting in front of this group of monks. He says, one of right view, it is said. In what way is a noble disciple one of right view, whose view is straight, who has perfect confidence in the Dhamma, and has arrived at this true Dhamma? Now, the meaning of has arrived at this true Dhamma basically means attaining the stage of entering the stream, or the Sotapanna, because that's said to be when a person has the genuine right view. It's no longer an intellectual idea about what Nibbana is or the end of suffering, but it's a momentary transcendent glimpse of that state beyond the dualistic mind. So that state, called entering the stream, it refers to the people who have arrived at this true Dhamma. So right view really starts it off, because the Buddha didn't want people to believe things that he said just because he was the Buddha, or other teachers because they were claimed to be enlightened, or because it is mentioned in ancient text. But hearing a teaching and then intellectually pondering it, and then contemplating it, and then coming to one's own view of whether something is right or wrong in terms of bringing an end to suffering. Because again, the whole of the Buddhist teaching is about coming to the end of suffering, not about believing there's a God or not a God, or is the world eternal or not eternal, or ideas about the soul and so on. But he was interested in, that's why he taught the Four Noble Truths, suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the end of suffering. So the right view is that the truth, understanding the truth of suffering. So then the first part of this is, he starts with explaining the wholesome and the unwholesome. Friends, when a noble disciple understands the unwholesome and the root of the unwholesome, and when he understands the wholesome and the root of the unwholesome, or the wholesome and the root of the wholesome, in that way he is one who has right view, whose view is straight, who has perfect confidence in the Dhamma, and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And then what is the unwholesome and what is the root of the unwholesome? So basically, the unwholesome is a list of 10 unwholesome actions, which includes most of the 5 precepts, but are what are mentioned in the right speech and right action and right thought. The 10 unwholesome karmic actions. And so abstaining from stealing, or what is unwholesome? Killings, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, malicious speech, harsh speech. Gossip is unwholesome. Covetousness, ill will, and wrong views. These are called the unwholesome. Now, these 10 actions coincide with the body, speech, and mind. So these first 3, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, is the negative karma that we do by our body. And then 4 of these belong to the speech: false speech, malicious speech, that means telling tales about others, gossip mongering, and so on. And then harsh speech, like curse words and so on, with anger behind it. And then also frivolous speech. Then ill will, then the 3 by mind, the 3 unwholesome karmas done by mind are ill will, wrong view, and conceit. I wish these pictures have gotten in the way. I don't know why they. Harsh speech, gossip, covetousness. And so covetousness, which is ill will and wrong view, are the unwholesome. So anyway, these 10 actions, 3 by body, 4 by speech, 3 by mind, are called unwholesome. And why? And then what is the root of these unwholesome? Greed, hatred, and delusion are the roots of the unwholesome. So greed, hatred, and delusion, those are often called the 3 poisons. So all those 10 negative or unwholesome actions of body, speech, and mind come from the roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. So like the root of a tree has roots in the ground. And it absorbs water and so on, but then it produces branches and so on. So those branches would be the 10 actions of body, speech, and mind. Now, what is the wholesome? It's basically abstaining from those unwholesome actions. So it's just the opposite. That means living by the precepts, the Noble Eightfold Path precepts, basically. And what is the root of the wholesome? Non-greed, non-ill will, and non-delusion are the roots of the unwholesome. So it's basically just simply the opposite of the unwholesome actions and unwholesome roots. The opposite of those are the wholesome. And so it's important to understand those at the beginning, because if we don't understand them, then we won't have the necessary motivations to weaken the unwholesome ones that bring suffering. So basically, this is a intellectual understanding, but even is not only intellectual. We can tell when we do any of those unwholesome actions, there's some kind of guilt, worry, remorse, fear, stress, anxiety about people blaming us, or people finding out what we've done, or leading to any of the unwholesome actions. So when a person has understood these roots of the unwholesome and the roots of the wholesome, they entirely abandon the underlying tendencies to lust or greed, the underlying tendencies to aversion, the underlying tendencies to the view and conceit I am. Basically, the view and conceit I am is ignorance. Is the deepest level of that is clinging to the thought that I am some person that's permanent and real, and clinging to it and building it up in order to use that to defeat others or to just to satisfy one's greed and hatred. So by abandoning those roots of ignorance, greed, and hatred, arousing true knowledge here and now, the person makes an end of suffering. In that way, too, a noble disciple is one of right view, whose view is straight, has perfect confidence in the Dhamma, and has arrived at this true Dhamma. Again, that perfect confidence in the Dhamma is arrived with that stage of the Sotapanna, where they've gone completely beyond any doubts, so their confidence is unwavering. So, now when the monks heard that, the monks were delighted and rejoiced in those words by Venerable Sariputta. And then they asked him a further question. But friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma? And Sariputta says, yeah, there might be, friends. And so he gives his second explanation. When a noble disciple understands nutriment, the origin of nutriment, the cessation of nutriment, and the way leading to the cessation of nutriment, in that way one is of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. Now you can see that he's talking about nutriment, and there's the 4 types of nutriment. If you're following on this, they are the physical food of nutriment, gross or subtle. So that means the food that we eat to sustain these bodies. So our cells have to keep reproducing and so on, and they need the nutriments from the physical food that we eat to transform that into the types of processes that keep our body alive and to cause it to grow. But then there is the contact is the second nutriment. So the contact means the contact with the senses. We hear sounds, smells, taste, touches, sounds, smells, all the 5 senses, plus even our thoughts, mental contact. So without this contact, basically the body and mind are not going to grow. And we know what's happened when babies don't get that kind of contact that stimulates their brain to start producing, interconnections and so on. And if the baby, of course, is not fed, it will die of starvation. But then the mind also needs that contact with the senses. If a baby doesn't learn what things are, they'll wind up just being a vegetable. The brain won't grow without that physical contact. And we've seen that some, bizarre cases of people who've kept their babies isolated in dark rooms and in limited contact with anybody. They were mentally, underdeveloped. So anyway, so there's the contact, and then volition is the third of the nutriments, the third volition. Volition, that means our actions, our karmic actions. So we have to, that's why desire and movement, we have to have volition, otherwise the mind and brain also is not going to grow. So that volition is the will, to reach up and scratch your head, or, the volition to talk, do anything. And then consciousness is the fourth. So that's why we crave to be conscious. We go to sleep at night, we're sleeping, kind of basically are dead to the world, kind of like. We wake up in the morning and then all of a sudden our consciousness is active again. And then we're doing all these volitions. We have to get up, eat breakfast, go to work, interact with people or families, and do everything is mainly from that volition. And then the consciousness is our sense of self as well, along with the consciousness. So because of the craving, there's the arising of nutriment. And so he explains these things in the same formula as the Four Noble Truths. You understand suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So in this way, he repeats the same formula, for he understands nutriment, the arising of nutriment, the cessation of nutriment, and the path leading to the cessation of nutriment is just this Noble Eightfold Path, which again starts with right view, right intention, right speech, right action, because that's the evolution of all of our actions go in that way. We hear something or have ideas something, and we say, okay, this is a good thing to do, and then our intention is then, okay, then to do it, and then you are following the right speech, right action, the good karma, the right, effort and so on. Otherwise, it would be the wrong efforts. So anyway, so understanding the nutriment. So when he understands that, they entirely abandon the underlying tendency to greed, ignorance, and that's how a disciple is one of right view. And then this third one is the Four Noble Truths. As most of you already know this, but so he could have started with that, but he wanted to start with the explaining to them the wholesome and the unwholesome. That way you would be able to better understand what is suffering. So the disciple understands suffering, the cause of suffering, cessation of suffering, the way leading to the cessation of suffering. And that is the right view, and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And I'm not going to go over all those Four Noble Truths because I want you to read them. And you probably have already read them many times over because we've gone over this quite a bit. And again, it always comes back to the path leading to the cessation of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. Again, starting with right view. So these are just different ways of shining light on the nature of how our mind and body has got enmeshed in our various types of actions and in the web of karmic actions and the things that are really driving our body and mind. Now, I'm going to stop at this point, having gone over those three categories, because I don't want to take up too much time in that. And next week we'll go over basically the last part of the sutra is he's going over each of the individual 12 links of the dependent origination and using the formula of that same formula of the Four Noble Truths. But we'll do that next week. So now I want to see if any of you have any questions about these first three categories of right view. So, Damon, do you have a question?
It seems like the part you went over includes something about conceit I am. And I know that right view, you have said before, a big part of right view is recognizing no self in one's own being. So is that what we covered tonight? That how important it is to...
Yeah, the conceit I am. You see it down in paragraph 8. If you have it, okay, I've come to that. It says, when a disciple has understood those, he entirely abandons the tendency for lust, he abolishes the tendency to aversion, he extirpates the underlying tendency to the view and conceit I am. And so that's considered to be part of ignorance, because that's the deepest level of ignorance, clinging to this idea that I am real, and I have an unchanging or me or soul, and the various things that come through that. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it does. You say it's something, the belief that I am real. Well, I mean, we still exist, right? We still are real in some conventional sense, right?
Yes, I want to clarify that actually. Some people say we have to get rid of the self and the ego. Actually, you can't really. We need that sense of I, even up to the point of attaining enlightenment, because it's the I that suffers. So the I wants to get out of suffering. Now that's still a conditioned state, but it helps you to make the effort to try to overcome suffering. But what it's referring to is thinking that this I is something eternal and unchanging, like a little atom inside you somewhere that's you and it doesn't change and so on. But it's part of our consciousness, the conditioned consciousness. Conceit is a part of a component of the mental formations that creates this idea of I. Now, I've given the talk many times. When a baby's born, it doesn't have that sense of I yet, but it gets it around the 4th or 5th month after having gotten a name, and his parents are calling the name all the time, and then it starts learning language. This sense that there's an I inside here gradually develops, and that remains with the person the whole life until death. But then that even goes over to a next life, is a seed of ignorance. So there is a temporary self. So when people say there's no self, we have to clarify it. There is this temporary self feeling. We can't deny that, And even people have that up until the time they attain arahantship. So even a Sotapanna will have that. A once returner will have that in lesser and lesser degrees, but they don't believe it's real. They know it's an illusion. And so they wouldn't commit any kind of karma that would cause some of the worst types of, suffering and so on.
Right, right.
That's
Okay.
the main thing to understand. Okay, there is this temporary self, but it's not a static thing. It's constantly changing all the time. And but only at the time of the arhatship, the attainment of full enlightenment, the termination of the rounds of rebirth, that self does not arise anymore. There's no more rebirth because there's no more self for the mind to be reborn for. And so that's the way we need to understand that.
Thank you.
Like the simile that I've often given as an ice cube. So our sense of self is like an ice cube floating in water. And so our sense of ourself floating in this world of other people and all these things, we think we're different from them. You think you're different from your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, and everybody else. But that's an illusion created in everybody's brain. So everybody thinks they're different from everybody else. But if everybody was to attain enlightenment all at once, all those egos would dissolve. Of course, that's never going to happen. But so that's just an analogy. That last bit of the ice cube melting is only at this state while you can attain nibbana for a temporary experience, but that's going to come back. The sense of self is going to come back, but only permanently where it doesn't come back anymore is when a person attains the arhat stage.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Doesn't look like there's any comments in the chat box. Any other questions?
Geraldine has her hand up.
Bhante, can you hear me?
Okay, Geraldine, yes.
Okay, good evening.
Mhm.
Thank you for the sutta. So I wanted to ask whether this particular sutta they have got the 10 unwholesome and wholesomes, and then the nutriment and another other sections to it. So are these passages independent? Like for example, if you just practice according to the 10 wholesome and 10 unwholesome, will you be able to progress towards the path, or do you have to practice every single one of these passages?
No, you if you understood the 10 unwholesome actions and actually practice their opposites, that means practicing the wholesome actions of body, speech, and mind, then you could go a long way toward eliminating probably 90% of the suffering that you encounter in your daily life.
Yep.
And of course, when you're doing that, you'll naturally, begin to understand the other things too. So all these things are, even if one just understood understood the arising of the unwholesome roots, the cessation of the unwholesome roots, and the path leading to the cessation of the unwholesome roots, that comes back to the Eightfold Path again. And that's the third of these. So, but the nutriment, maybe, that's a little bit more complicated to understand without understanding some other aspects of the Dhamma, like contact. Nutriment, what is the contact of nutriment? If I ask somebody in front of Walmart, coming out of Walmart, what is nutriment? What are the 4 types of nutriment, the 4 kinds of contact? They would probably shake their head and walk away, so, some of these things, it takes some understanding of Dhamma, especially the nutriment. one. But
Right, right. So it's a higher level. So would you say that the wholesome and unwholesome is a beginner level, and then nutriment is like a higher level of
you
progress?
could say that. You could say that. Yeah, the 10
Right, right.
unwholesome actions, but that's understanding the law of karma. So that's part of the right view also. And the cause of suffering, the arising of suffering. So, uh, you know, the the Four Noble Truths has got to come in at some point. That's going to be the main dominant one. And the reason Sariputta did this, he was having fun with the monks.
Okay.
The monks probably knew all this because at the end of the sutta, you know, the the monks were saying just with the first thing that Sariputta said, they loved that, but they just wanted to hear more of Sariputta's great Dhamma talk. So they kept on asking him, is there another way to explain, the suffering and so on?
Okay. Okay, then my other question would be, in the 10 wholesome and unwholesome, there's a definition of delusion, right? So if we actually practice the unwholesome, the 10 unwholesome, it would be delusion. So the question is, during meditation, in the Satipatthana Sutta, mindfulness meditation, if somebody was doing a meditation on like maybe rising and falling, or maybe at the breath, and then at a point when the mind doesn't attached to the object. That means the mind is not with the object. The mind is just on its own and then forgot about the object. Is that delusion?
It's not necessarily delusion. It depends if it's the first jhana, or the second jhana. There would be, you probably are not going to get there without having some kind of right view anyway, doing that meditation. But you can contemplate when you attain the jhana and you understand how the mind is just focused on the object, or even if you're practicing the moment to moment mindfulness like this, the rising and falling technique of flowing with
Mm-hmm.
you understand how the mind is free from clinging to all those other objects. It would have kept your mind full of the hindrances and so on. And you experience that piti and the sukha when you attain those states. The happiness that comes when the mind is, all the other thoughts have kind of subsided, and you're just with the thought of breathing or the thought of the body, the present moment, or the mind is just floating from moment to moment without clinging to anything. That's when you experience the joy and the piti. And so you understand there is an idea about how suffering is reduced. You see how suffering comes only when the mind clings to all those other impingements and so on. So, the wisdom comes out of that gradually. Little by little, the wisdom arises.
Right, right. But the thing is, assuming that you're looking at the rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, and then suddenly the mind goes still, like forgot about like, rising and falling, and then maybe 10 minutes later, then the mind will, oh, I was looking at rising and falling, so I continue with rising and falling. So at that stage between the 10 minutes where the mind is just gone, is that delusion?
Well, it depends. I mean, you could have, the mind could have just let go of the rising and falling and just stayed in the open awareness. Rising and falling is only a technique to reach the state of open awareness, and rising and falling is it's just the beginning part of meditation.
Right, right. So at the end, it's just to practice the open awareness. As long as the mind is
And to
openly
let the
aware.
sense of the self dissolve in that. The
Right,
sense
right.
of the I will start getting weaker and weaker as you attain either the jhanas or the flowing of awareness from moment to moment, the open awareness without any sort of clinging. Because the sense of I comes when you drag in the past or future connected with any objects. So when the mind is no longer doing that, the sense of self becomes more like transparent. And so that's how you gain the understanding of how the illusion of a self is created in the mind, because you're paying attention and reacting to different objects. So when you stop doing that, either by attaining jhanas or entering this moment-to-moment awareness, then you get these kind of insights. And so, it could be delusion if you're just in a state where, there can be
You're
some
unaware.
samadhi states, where the mind is just, it's not really aware, but it's not asleep either, and so on. So it can be a kind of a cul-de-sac, a sinking state. So you have to be aware of the mind sinking into this. It's like fool's gold. A lot of people have thought they've reached, the state beyond the ego, but actually it's, it may not, just be that kind of illusion. So, it's very subtle, that's why you need right view and you need to do the practice. All these steps of the Eightfold Path were given by the Buddha for a reason. They help prepare the mind for what's coming next. And people just want to go right into meditation and think just by concentrating and doing these things without having all these other background information. That's where they can get into these states of mind that wind up to be, delusions.
Right.
We
Okay.
can see
Sadhu,
there's lots of examples of people deluded that, talking to them, or deluded that they've transcended the ego, but then in their actions, you see that they're still caught up in these kind of things.
Sadhu, and thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Okay, friends, any last questions? Let me see, is there something in the chat? I was under the impression that Paticca Samuppada was an essential part of right view. This discourse does not touch on this. I realize it is connected, but Venerable Sariputta, well, we haven't got to that point yet. Now, Paticca Samuppada is what we're going to start discussing next week, because say if we go down to this, anyway, where we left off after the Four Noble Truths, aging and death. That's where but he's doing the Paticca Samuppada in reverse order. Aging and death, then birth. When one understands birth, the arising of birth, cessation of birth. Being, when one understands being, the rising of being, cessation of being or becoming. Then clinging, craving, feeling. So he goes all through every link of the dependent origination, he's going, but in the reversed order, going all the way back to the consciousness formations and ignorance and the taints. So in that way, Sariputta is covering the Paticca Samuppada in this. So we just didn't go that far this week. I hope that answers that question that you had. And so stay tuned for next week. Okay. So friends, let's go ahead and take a short break. So come back, do some stretches, and then have our meditation practice, see if we can develop some right view. Okay? See you back in a few minutes. Okay, friends, try to stand straight. Relax your arms at the sides. Just gently close your eyes. Focus where your feet press the floor. You feel the height and the weight of the body over the feet. Feel your eyes and the eye sockets. Try to feel that outline of the standing body. Sense of the head on top, arms at the sides. Clothing touching the skin. Feet pressing the floor. Keeping the mind and the body. Now begin some deep, slow breathing. Take 2 or 3 seconds to expand your abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 seconds. Then slowly breathe out. Feel all the air going out of the lungs. Let's take a few more breaths like that, cultivating this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to combine this breathing with these movements, repeating each movement 3 times. Whole times, try to feel the sensations being generated by the breathing and the stretching. So on the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, stretch up, feel the sensations, and release your fingers. In the out-breath, arms back to the sides, feel the air go out as the arms come down. Again, in-breath. Stretch up, bend back a little. Feel the arch in the spine. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Feel the air go out. Once more, in. Stretch up, bend back a little more. Hold it a little longer. Feel the sensations. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Relax, close your eyes. Keep feeling the body. Clothing touching the outer skin. Increased heartbeat, pulsation. Itchy sensation. Just remember the present moment of standing, standing, standing. Just letting go of your thoughts. On the next in-breath, lift up on the balls of the feet while raising the arms over the head in this way. Face the hands toward each other, a few inches apart, stretch up. In the out-breath, come back down, feel the air go out as the arms come back down. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body. Blowing up a balloon, stretch out. Once more in, stretch out. Relax. Close the eyes. Feel that collage of sensations. Giving the outline of the standing body. Sensations from the head, arm, clothing touching the skin, feet. Remember standing, letting your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the outline of the standing body in the front of the awareness. So you're kind of looking into a mirror, watching the body, standing, breathing, but not as a visual image, as a collage of sensation. And next we'll do side bending, using one arm at a time. On the in-breath, raise your left arm up, keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. And on the out-breath, bend over your right side, and lay the arm on the side of the head. On the in-breath, lift back up straight. And two more times, the same side, out-breath. In, out. Feel sensation in the out-breath, lower that arm. Next in-breath, raise the other arm. 3 times to the other side, out-breath. In, out. In, out. In. The out breath, lower the arm. Close the eyes. Keep feeling the body. Don't give the mind time. Carried away at other thoughts. Body is always right here, right now. Quarter of an inch beneath your nose. 5 or 6 foot long body, 100 or more pounds. Billions of cells vibrating. Remember standing, standing. Okay, next we'll do the knee bending or squatting On the in-breath, lift up on the balls of the feet, again, while lifting the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees and lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. And take a deep breath, feel the muscles in the legs pushing the body up. In out breath. In. Out. In. The out breath, relax. With the increased heartbeat. Remember standing, standing, standing. Okay, now spread the legs apart about 3 feet. Do the twisting from right to left, the lateral twisting of the spine. Breathe in. The out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. Maintain balance. In breath, back to the front. Let your feet turn with the body, then twist to the other side. Out breath. In breath, front. Keep alternating sides with the breathing. Out breath. In. Out. Once more to each side. Lower the arms, relax. Feel each foot pressing the floor. And the hands and fingers hanging at the sides. Feel the clothing touching the skin. And all the other sensations. The heart beating. Sort of hold that outline of the body as it is. Keep the legs spread apart. We're going to do the alternate toe touching. We'll hold the arms out to the sides again and breathe in. On the out breath, bring your left arm across and down to touch your right leg below the knee as far down as you can reach. And then kind of turn your head to look up with your other hand over your head. And carefully come up on the in-breath. Then do it to the other side, right hand to the left knee, or leg, or foot. In-breath. So keep alternating sides like that. Try to stretch a little further each time. Third time, try to hold it a little longer. Come on. Other side. Come on. Relax. With the increased heartbeat. All the other sensations. Some extra pins. Material body. Now bring your legs and feet back together. And I will do the head turning from right to left. On the in-breath, turn the head to the right. If you have a stiff neck, just be careful. Look over your right shoulder. Feel the sensations and twist. On the out breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. In breath, and back to the right. Concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Imagine feeling them loosening up. Out breath left. Once more to each side. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the middle. Keep feeling the whole body. Standing, standing. Now we'll finish with the backward and forward bending. Oh, be careful with the back bends. Don't bend back too far the first time, especially if you have a bad back. Turn the palms facing outwards so the little fingers touch together. On the in-breath, lift the hands up level to your eyes and begin spreading the arms out to the sides as you bend back. Keep the eyes open, look at the ceiling. Feel the arch of the spine. On the in-breath, carefully straighten up, keep the arms out at the sides. And on the out-breath, lower the arms and hands down towards the floor. Try to keep your legs straight. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. And begin lifting up. Turn the palms outward again. In breath, lift the hands up. Out breath, bend back, arms to the sides. Be careful. In. Downward stretch, out breath. Once more, in, out. In. Third time, try to hold the downward stretch longer. And you lift up, bring the hands together at the chest. Out breath, hands to the sides. Feel the whole body. Feel as though the body is standing on a vibrating machine. Feeling all those activated life force cellular vibrations. The soles of the feet up to the top of the head. Present moment, body-centered awareness. Okay, now let's come back to our seats for the sitting meditation. is this? Okay, friends, try to sit in a straight posture. I don't have my tech specialist with me, so I hope this computer doesn't act up. Try to sit straight. Align the back of your head and spine in a straight line. Try to find that center of gravity of the head and spine over the hips. Just feel your head balanced on top. Just keep the chin lifted up level with the floor. Just close the eyes. Just try to mentally feel that outline of the sitting body. Just begin some deep, slow breathing like we did in the yoga session, holding that outline of the sitting body in the mind's eye. Let's cultivate this basic mindfulness, breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath a second. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Feel the last bit of air go out. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count our breaths from 1 to 10 to develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and concentration. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the breath a second. And with the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out. The next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In 3. Out 3. In 4. Out 4, in 5, out 5, in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. As the breath goes out, don't try to control the next in breath. Just relax. Just let the breath come back in under its own power. But continue to feel it. Keep your attention focused in that same area, abdomen, stomach, chest area. Feel the residual, shorter, lighter, expanding and contracting sensations. Just feel the whole in-breath from beginning to end, and the brief pause. Feel the whole contracting out breath and the brief pause. Just over and over and over again. Just try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of your abdomen, stomach, rib cage, or chest as it expands and contracts. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. Feeling the brief pauses between the in breaths and out breaths. Just tuning in to the ongoing, continuous, natural connection to the present moment. This breathing body is the natural connection to the natural present moment awareness. To help remember and stay focused, you can use these brief mental reminders of in in sitting, out, out, sitting, in sitting, out, out, sitting. Just letting go of your thoughts. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep the breathing body in the front of the awareness. As though you were just watching the body sitting and breathing. Not as a visual image, just a collection of sensations. Just try to feel like being a scientist looking down through a microscope, observing an experiment, observing the sitting, breathing body. Understanding how this body lives on the oxygen drawn in with the in-breath, expelling the impurities of carbon dioxide, lactic acid on the out-breath. From the moment you are born to the moment you die, this breath has been going in and out of this body, literally just beneath your nose, but we never know it. In sitting, out, out, sitting, breathing in, letting go of the past and future, breathing out, sitting here and now. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Be alert for thoughts trying to sneak in to steal your attention away. If you catch the mind lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Take a deep, slow breath. Bring the attention back into the body. If you still have lots of thoughts, you can try counting the breaths from 1 to 10 again by yourself. See if you can count 10 breaths without the mind either going to sleep or getting lost in thought. If you're able to count 10 breaths in a row without going to sleep or getting lost in thoughts, just let go of the counting. Just let the mind rest in the present moment awareness. Try to keep the outline of the body in the mind's eye. Just gradually opening up to the flow of moment to moment awareness, different body sensations arising and vanishing, or any sounds going through the ears, or any thoughts moving through the mind. Just opening up to that flow of impermanence, constant contacts, impingements of the sense organs, especially the body sensation. Try to feel sensations coming from all the different parts of the body, head, arms, feet, clothing touching the skin, any aches or pains, itchy, prickly sensation. Of course, the breathing is always there in the center. Just breathing in, observing impermanence, constant changing, breathing out, observing impermanence. From time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths. Help stay awake, centered in the breathing body. Breathing is always there in the center, but all around it, so many other sensations are coming and going, arising, vanishing. Being aware of the mind's reactions, painful sensation. If you know what the five aggregates are, being able to identify the five aggregates: material vibration, feeling, perception, volition, ego consciousness. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many different sensations coming and going. Sounds come and go. Pleasure or pain come and go. Wants, ideas, emotions come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are all just a continuous flow of the five aggregates in their nature of impermanence, constantly changing. It's coming and going through this expanded breathing body awareness. Not getting stuck on any particular sensation or thought or sound. Just find that middle path of the mind resting in the present moment, not going to the past or future, not reacting to pleasure or pain, letting go of thoughts of self or other. Breath by breath, moment by moment, let the awareness float with the flow of impermanence. If you have a good awareness, try to feel like being an empty house with nobody home to answer the call, knocking on the doors or windows. But there's a sensitive microphone in the house that knows but doesn't know. And now let us spend the last few minutes of the meditation shifting our attention to sending out thoughts of metta or friendliness, kindness, best wishes toward our own body and mind, and spreading that out to all other beings. So again, just keep observing your own body, your sitting and breathing. Just watching your own body sitting and breathing, feeling it. Begin some deep, slow breaths again. As you breathe in, hold the air in your lungs for several seconds to imagine or feel that oxygenating blood going out to all the cells of the body, charging them up with life force, which is metta. And on the out breath, feeling that relaxation of the body and mind. Just take several more breaths like that, sending these metta thoughts to your own body and mind. May I be well, peaceful, and wise, free from excessive attachment and greed, anger or hatred, jealousy, envy, fear, pride, and ignorance, or the 10 unwholesome actions. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May I be able to continue to develop my practice of meditation and understanding of the Dhamma, to free the mind from self-created confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. Now, if you can, still do some deep, slow breathing. With each out breath, imagine these same kind of metta thoughts going back home to all your family members or friends, relatives, other people that you know, people that you've known from childhood to the present, all regular folks out there working to make ends meet, but encountering all kinds of sufferings. Just with each out breath, thinking, may all of them be well, happy, and peaceful, free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance, free from self-created pains and sufferings of body and mind due to their unskillful thought, speech, and actions. May all of them be able to have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. And if they haven't already, may they also be able to hear the teachings of the Dhamma and to learn and practice meditation to help free their minds from self-created pains and sufferings. May all of them be well, peaceful, and wise. So in the same way, if you can imagine expanding the radiation of those metta thoughts out across the whole country, across the oceans, to surround the whole earth, these thoughts of pure wisdom, pure energy, pure love, with the idea that may all living beings, whoever they might be, visible or invisible, living near or far, rich or the poor, strong or the weak, famous or the obscure, people with power, people with no power. May all of them be well, happy, and peaceful, free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance, free from the pains and sufferings of body and mind brought about by such unskillful thought, speech, and action. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. Now I invite you to close the meditation, join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting of sadhu on a long out breath. Feel those vibrations in the body and mind. So take a deep breath. Breathe. Breathe. Now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath. As you breathe in, stretch your head back. Pull your hands against the knees to arch your spine. Then on the in-breath, lift the head up, and on an out-breath, press your chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. Lift the chin up level on an in-breath and relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, so this brings our evening of Dhamma discussion and meditation to an end. But as I always say, mindfulness should never end. And try to do your M&Ms every hour during the day to come back to the present moment. Take a few deep, slow breaths, letting go of the past or future. Come to the present moment. Recenter yourself before going on your activities for the next hour. You can do that every hour for 1 minute. Call the M&M minute of mindfulness. It will help you to get through the day, reducing or letting go of stress hour by hour rather than accumulating it. Okay? So, until we meet again, be well, be safe, be mindful, be wise, and Namo Buddhaya.
Namo
Thank you,
Buddhaya.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu,
Thank you.
sadhu.
Namo Buddhaya Bhante. Gratitude, compassion, and appreciation. Humble. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
You're welcome.